Morning.
I see so many of you all here safely. Some of you might be wondering why we changed location and came into the bunker in the basement here.
You like the view better.
It is for your own. Trust me, for your own auditory benefit. I'm not referring to the music right now. I'm referring to music that is going to be emanating shortly from outside the global hub. Today is a very important day in the student life of Northwestern University. It's called Dillo Day. And it's a day where students, especially undergraduates, decide that they're going to engage in all kinds of festivities on campus.
Nosh, it's a day of debauchery, let's be honest.
Subtle, but okay.
My question.
Ryan has,
How do we go?
Ryan, the big release.
Yeah.
Just out the back, you know?
Yeah.
And as a result, there was concern that sounds and music and what some would consider music and others may not might emanate if you were up on the fourth floor. So we were advised to hunker down in the basement here. So one of the reasons we are today. But on your way out, you will probably see glimpses of this, and some of you, if you're walked in, you will see glimpses of students already on the front. Anyway, we are here. There's no debauchery in this room here. We're all here today. Another fabulous session to continue from our conversations yesterday. And again, I want to make sure that all of our visitors who come to us from elsewhere have picked up their little goodie bag. And you see that just as Brian was previewing yesterday, the book by Julio. Julio has autographed the book that you have in your little gift bag. And we're delighted to be able to do that. So thank you again for coming, and this is just a small appreciation. I'm going to hand things over now to Liz, who's going to chair our session this morning, followed by the panel. And then I'm going to say this because this is the last time I'll probably get a chance to see all of you. Thank you all so much for coming. I have to go teach a class. And my class ends at 12:30, which is exactly when this workshop ends. So I know that Brian and Marlon are going to do a great job of helping wrap everything up, etc. So from me, just thank you again all for coming, and I hope to see some of you at future ANN-SONIC and other events, ANN-SONIC-NICO and other events moving forward. Here's Liz.
Round of applause. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So I decided to take over this session. Have the other instruments ready?
Yeah.
Or not running of course. I got to play conductor last night. Thank you all for surviving to that music. I'm absolutely honored to be here. I'm particularly excited because I happen to know two of the topics. The first two are fresh off the presses. I know not even at the press yet. They are new ideas that are being worked out, and I just was so amazed by the respectful commentary we had particularly around Melissa Valentine's talk yesterday when she was presenting ideas and really working through those. So I'm looking forward to celebrating our scholars today. So first up, we have our local Hyejin, who hails from the fifth floor of this building, giving a talk. And I'll let.
Thank you.
Each speaker will be speaking for about 30 minutes with 15 minutes of questions.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. Today I would like to talk about something that I've been working on, and very new, and there are things that I just produced last week, so it's pretty fresh. Some of them are posted the preprint in a month ago, but most of things are really, really new. And I'm so happy to present this new direction of my research today. Okay, today because I heard at the presentation yesterday, I would like to, my talk is going to be slightly different in a sense that it's going to be a little bit more scale up and looking at the entire ecosystem of human skills. And lastly, I would like to throw in the technology, how the technology actually participate and occupy the the landscape I created, a landscape of the skills, human skills I created. So to begin with, I just give you some idea. I just provide you some context of how I think about the complex economy and why I'm looking at the data and the research direction I'm taking. So to begin with, I just want to share this short excerpt from Korean show, which was very, very popular. Some of you may know. My Love from the Star, that was like extremely popular even in Korea, like outside and China, but I just got this to show you what happened. It's a Korean costume in the really, really past and how Korea actually changed dramatically the landscape over the past 50 years. So, having said that, the world economy, not only just Korea overall, has increasingly complex. Their productivity and goods and services and infrastructure and all. This is like what modern economy. And I'd like to understand, like this is like how I understand the modern economy. From the beginning that we hunt and gather, and today we become so specialized and focusing on certain things that we are looking at the very specialized knowledge. Now, so the way I understand is following. The complexity, when we think about so much complexity we have to produce, then it is obvious that we are under this extreme pressure to become so specialized and yet have to possess a diverse skill sets to accomplish this, to produce something that is very complex. So there are two things, defining characteristics in the modern economy. On one hand, there is a diverse skill sets and diverse the services and products. On the other hand, they are so much specialized. How can I reconcile these two defining characteristics of modern economy? That sounds like a huge thing, but I'm going to go like a little bit more depth into. So, okay, so just to recap, people and firms seem to be very specialized in different activities. And by doing that, economy, efficiency, and productivity increases, which is great. So what we can observe, whether this is true, like we can observe like how many activities increases over the time, or occupation increases over time, number of products increases over time, number of industries increases over time. It's always increasing, like we are from our experience and experience and also common knowledge. And interaction increases over time because all these specialized efforts have to be coordinated to produce something new. So increasing we have more increasing interaction, not only just the social interaction, but also like the economy itself actually complex economy puts so much pressure to be interacted, to produce the global networks, to produce something that is very, very complex. And that actually increases the coordination cost. So if you look at the coordination cost and the number of conflicts increases more time, conflict resolutions, and the coordinations is so regulations, the cost of regulation increases over time. So that's how I understand it. So let's just, I have a big project on the coordination cost, and we're looking at how the coordination cost increases and what structure look like, under what condition. That's one thing I've been working on. I'd like to share it, hopefully in the next 2 years. On the other hand, I'm just looking at how the specialization happened to increase the productivity. Now, when I think about the specialization, on one hand, this Adam Smith's specialization, we actually divided this our efforts and tasks into such a small way so that we can routinize and produce something that is in a repetition. So we can increase our productivity, but that actually decreases our skill sets. Which loses we lose our bargaining power. It's something like a de-skilling. It's increasing our skills to produce something that is like a pin factory. Like there's the really simple task, so that we do repetition, so that we increase our number of the pins we produce. However, on the other hand, because the skills that are required are so simple, anyone can do, that actually that decrease our bargaining power. So we become cheap. On the other hand, there is another specialization going on, that we become so specialized in a certain knowledge and certain production that we become very unique. What's going on in between too? So let me just one step back and think about what's going on. In the past, this is the first stone tool. Technology has changed so dramatically over this human history. This is the first stone tool our ancestor dabbled. To make it, it doesn't look like a technology, but this is a kind of technology to make it sharp so that we can cut and chop different woods. That technology, does this technology require the specialization? That's the question I'm asking. Yes and no. No, in a sense that I can make it myself. Even now, I can make it by I was going outside and pick up the stone and I just sharpen, and so I can make it. However, I can make it much better and more productive by bringing team together, and one person goes out and find out this it's the right size of a stone and right hardness of a stone. Me just getting the stone and just sharpening. So division of labor actually increases productivity, even this simple technology. On the other hand, if I look at the iPhone, this is the first iPhone. Can I make this iPhone myself? How many people can make this iPhone? So my PhD is in physics, proudly. So I was like, okay, I can make it. So I went to internet and trying to see whether I can make a cell phone. This is a step number one, how to make a cell phone. So order the circuit board and the soldering the electrode. I learned it from my past, and upload the software and using the phone and laser cut and all there are things. And then what the thing is then when I was trying to follow these steps, and then I realized, well, I ordered the circuit board. Okay, where to begin to make a circuit board? And then to do that, a silicon. How can I make a silicon? Okay, in principle, yes, I can make a silicon. I just go outside and collect the sand and with the furnace, and I can make it in principle, but I can't. Why? It's become so complex and it requires more devices. So now, and then again, I realized, okay, to make it the silicon, I need to make a fire, and how can I make a fire? So all these things, it's these days, making anything, any single technology, it requires so much effort of collaboration or coordination of a specialization of the knowledge and tasks. So that actually put me wondering, maybe this complexity that actually made this different types of division of labors we got into. Now the question is why? Why I cannot make an iPhone myself? This is because as a human is limited. On one hand, I've been trained to study scaling-free, power law and scaling-free behavior. But in a human itself, myself, I have a finite size of physiological capacity, and I have a finite life cycle. And so I have a finite size of the brain. So there are limited capacity of the physiological and the cognitive capacity. I'm confined. And now that sometimes some people call it the person bite. So we are limited person bite. We have a limited person bite. That actually kept the capacity or capability of producing something more than needed. Something that more produce something that is enough to produce, that is required by the increasingly complex society, increasingly complex economy. So as a result, it is true, the knowledge to produce iPhone requires more than more than what we can handle. So this is Ben Jones's work. Our colleagues was looking at the ages, the ages of the innovations or the patent producers increasing over time, and the jumping from one field to another decreasing. This is average inventors going up. So it's like the PhDs, and it requires more time to observe this knowledge, and there is only so much we can learn our lifetime. So this is still conjecture of mine. I feel like, okay, maybe this is the reason why we have two different direction of the specialization that actually may produce this inequality or disparity across this labor market. Now, this is one way of thinking of. I'm more interested in this particular talk. I would like to discuss how we can become valuable workers in this complex economy, in these pressures that require this specialization of different kinds. So, one, when I look at myself, if I just recollect myself, when I specialize, I require, there is a certain path to become specialized. Sometimes we call it pedagogy. Sometimes we call it the career path. So, for example, if I wanted to learn physics, now I can't really learn physics from the beginning when I don't know how the calculus work. I have to learn calculus. This is a prerequisite. The calculus requires arithmetics. So there are certain paths we have to go through. It's not the specialization that is the collection of acquisition of different skills randomly. There are some paths exist in already society. So I'd like to understand this. So some of paths are very well embedded in our curriculum. So if you are coming from university, this is how we learn. Now, not every skills have this path, this nested structure. I call it nested structure because it seems to be nested onto each other, or some skills are built on the other skills. Let me get the water. But some skills don't need this is the dependency structures. Maybe I can learn some skills randomly, but some skills require some prerequisites. If I want to learn this, then I have to learn something else. So there are skills that are nested, there are skills that are not nested, and also skills depend on each other. So can I actually construct the skills that and then identify these two different classification of skills? One is nested skills, or skill sets that are depending on each other. Some skills are not nested, which can be learned immediately. That actually that allows this kind of a way of structuring skill, allows me to understand why the specialization requires diversification as well as the depth of learning. So on one hand, it's a depth that I have to learn, go through. On the other hand, the breadth, diversifications. So these two things can be captured in this framework. Now, how can I construct this structure, skill structure? So I just look at how the skills are distributed across occupations. Some skills are required to many different occupations. Some skills are required to only few occupations. Those skills that are more specialized skills, those skills that are needed broadly across different occupations, are skills that are pretty much maybe general. So now, once I do that, now I just go back to this person byte, the limited person byte concept. So even the skills are structured in such a way to be needed to be used in the complex economy. We mortal human, cannot actually acquire all skills at the same time. So we have to actually cover it like this, maybe some bits, some few skills, and few skills have to be kind of related to each other in this dependency network, because otherwise you can't really go through the learning path. So this is how I understand. Once I construct a skill structure like this, then I could start to think about myself, like how these occupations covered this skill structure. Or reversely speaking, if I observe the skills occurred in occupation, each occupation, maybe it's possible to construct this skill structure, network structure. So this isn't the network structure. This is something that I'm interested in this talk. So again, recap. So if this is like synthetic kind of imaginary structure I have, and the occupations cover this, and once I know this, the observations of skill occurrences across occupations, then distribution, then I can see that what skills are more fundamental in a sense that is prerequisite to many different skills, and what structures are more like randomly appeared, what structures actually depend on each other. So for example, if the skills are very much specialized, then the usage don't happen much, like in the lower bound here, and only some occupation, small number of occupation will have a high level of skills, the skill of our interest. Fundamental skill, maybe something like a very much fundamental that appears so much different occupations. So now see whether this is actually the case. Now I'm going to get into the empirics.
I was just going to ask, could you give an example?
Oh, empirics will give you an example. Let me just get the empirics. Because I'm going to actually look at the actual data. So what empirics I'm looking at is ONET. ONET is a survey data in the US labor economy, the labor statistics, and they look at the thousands of occupations across each occupation, ask around what kind of skills are needed for this occupation. And this is a snippet of the data set. So for example, the chiropractors here needs the 1.5 level of reaction time. Maybe needs more than 1.5. Chief executive requires the 5.5 level of management and financial resources. Dishwasher quality control analysis, 2 level. Chief executives, again, personnel and human resources skills. Chiropractors, active listening. Oh, it says higher than this. So all these things are the examples. And of course, we have the thousands of the survey results. From there, now, we are looking at this number, the levels. What's the level of the skills that is needed for this occupation? Okay? And I look at the distribution.
Okay. I was just trying to get a sense of what you meant by nesting with a concrete.
Oh, that we will get there.
And unnested.
No, it's going to be mathematically defined in 3 slides. Can we wait? Or?
Continue. Sorry.
No. It's because it's not easy to identify nestedness. I want to be very careful defined because my definition may not be right. So I actually use a lot of different evidences to see whether this is right. But still, yeah.
Okay, I could just say it's a conceptual question. So it's not just a data question.
Oh yes, please, yes.
So I'm asking you to elaborate on what you mean with a concrete example or something. I'm having a little difficulty understanding the nested structure versus the accidental collection of skills that seems to underlie this. I'm not ready to listen, but that's the point of the question.
So are the skills that are needed for, so concept.
Abstractions is a nested skill.
Say that again?
Understanding abstractions is a nested skill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this is an abstraction.
But no, please, I only have 10 minutes, so let's just come back to that if it is not answered. Because I don't want to say some conceptual answer yet, because it's going to be very narrowly narrowly defined. So just to wait a little bit. So okay, so for example, I use it step by step. So for example, if I look at the skills that the fine art, it is mostly most of occupation don't need the fine art skill much. Only few skills needed, occupations needed. English is language, for example, the other example, is needed across many different occupations at the relatively high level. there is something in between psychology, like understanding psychology, knowledge skills is in between. Now I classify the skills based on this shape. Some shape that is skewed, that are not required many different occupations, most of occupation don't need, are classified as specific skills. Skills that are needed most likely, the most of occupations are classified as general skills. I allowed something in between, immediate, but I actually generate, this is like came in clustering kind of things. But I actually changes this classification number so that my finding is actually robust to what the number of the classification groups. Now, coming back to a little bit like this, let me just go step by step. Given this, I just have some mathematical hypothesis that the specific skills should be in this hierarchical structure, should be in the leaves of the trees, as opposed to general skills in the root of the tree. Of course, some skills don't need the general skills. Maybe just because they are randomly appear. So let me just go one by one. How the nestedness is constructed. Because there are the dependency of the occurrence of the skills. Some skills appear, and the other skills is actually somehow dependently appear. So for example, if I compare between two skills of the mathematical skills and programming, the chances that I just look at the conditional probability, chances that, here is a binder, chances that I see biology as a programming skill, the chances that biology has the mathematical skill is higher than the chances that I see myself a mathematical skill, then what's the chance that I have a programming skill? There is an asymmetric of these occurrences that it creates, that provides us this directionality in these co-appearances, from which I can make a directed network with all possible number of pairs of skills across these occurrences. This is the final result. I call it hierarchy and nested skills. So nested is like, again, like, no, I don't have much of the conceptual yet. I only have this definition, this mathematical operational definition, that if I find some skill, conditional on the other skill, is the higher than the other way around, there is a direction. And of course, I use a lot of statistical significance of tests. So many of the links that co-appears, appears a lot, but they may not show the significant directionality, then I just omit in this network structure. Now, so the nodes are colored according to the classification. The classification of the skill distribution, as you remember the previous slide, the skills that present in only few occupation as opposed to many occupation are colored blue on the leaves of this tree. The skills that appeared so many times and across different occupation are colored red, and something in between. Now, obviously, if you know the mathematical, a little bit like statistics, or a little bit of the one-on-one of statistics, you could imagine the expected, how much time is going on? Am I doing?
I'm doing math really quickly in my head, 5 minutes.
Okay. So the skills that are classified general that appear so many different occupations, that means it has more chance to become the higher conditional probability. So it is obvious that you can see that the broad range, broad distribution, broad shape distribution of the skills are on the top. The narrow distribution or skewed distribution on the bottom, and something between. Now, one thing I noticed is that some skills are more highly tightly binded with the group of skills called classified as general skills. Some skills are a little bit out there. And these skills are the skills that are a little bit more tightly binded with, strongly binded with the general skills are those, we often call high skill, high knowledge needed skills, like mathematical skills, programming, science, fine art, physics, that requires this pedagogy of the prerequisites, as opposed to skills that are called low level of skills of dynamic flexibility, repairing, mechanicals, engineering in between, are somehow is a little bit apart from this large clustering, tightly knitted clustering. So with that, I was wondering, like, what's the implication of this structure? So, first of all, I would like to kind of hand-waving definition of the nestedness and unnestedness here. The skills that are pretty much like more tightly binded to the general skills, I classify as nestedness, and skills that are a little bit more like a little bit the loosely connected to the general skills are unnested. That's my definition. This is like an operational definition so far. Now, with that, I classified, again, like first slide, I classified the 3 different skills, general to the specific. Now, I further classified the skills into two different categories, nested and unnested. And here are the list of those. And now I want to test whether this classification works pretty well. So I look at the programming, which is considered to be nested classification, and I just look at the random walks and how this random walks to the focal here. The colors of nodes follow the likelihood of the starting from the focal skill, any focal skill to the target skills. Target skill here is programming, and how this is connected to the general skill. Since those skills that are on the right-hand side is classified as unnested, are not really well knitted. So now, given the interest of time, I would like to bring us a little bit of the up to speed of this cross-sectional temporal evolution. So so far, we just look at the snapshot of how the skills occur, the distribution of skill occurrences. I just look at how this actually happens across the occupation age, your resume, and the age cohort survey, and 3 different data sets. The first data set is just looking at the survey of the people. It's a full survey, but it doesn't have a good the additional data set. Second was CPS. This is the current survey. Current population survey, which actually gives a pretty nice synthetic cohort. The final one is a burning glass technology, which doesn't give the more detail, and yet it has the resume detail of the ages and all to make the same graph of the 2 different the panels above. But this data doesn't give you the ages. I don't have data of the age, so I only know the differences of the skill acquisition. Now, how this is made? This is how this is made. So myself, resume, I came from physics. I was surrounded by economists for some time, and then I become part of the social science. and then I just look at what the skill sets have changed. The delta, I just calculate the delta according to the ONET. These are the things. I lost my physics. Oh, this is minus physics skills and speaking and all. I'm still learning. So with this, all the deltas, I just calculate nested, unnested, and how delta increases over time. Every millions of the resume. And you can see the general skills increases, and as we become more specialized, of course, the intermediate skills and specific skills increases over time. And the correlations of which skills are the correlated with the other skills increasing. Of course, general skills and the nested skills go hand in hand, as opposed we are losing the unspecific skills, unnested specific skills. Now, what's the implication of that? 1 minute? Yes, good. Okay. What's the implication of nested and unnested specific skills I identified? I look at the wage premium, and of course, obviously, like unnested specific skills are more about labors, the manual labors. They actually go to less wage premium, as opposed to your specialization in the knowledge workers becomes higher wage premium for your investment. However, this is an interesting thing. I would just pause it. I will just move along because of the interest of time. But when I control general skills, everything that is actually most of it disappear. So it seems like general skills is important. I want to just emphasize because this is like the kind of implication of why university has to teach general skills. I have my own like personal interest on this. So we also look at the how this actually the structure changes over time. It seems like it changes. It used to be a nested skill, and non-nested skill seems to be more tightly bounded in the 15 years ago. Over the few decades, it seems to be more wider, broader. It actually concerned me. Now, I just go in, and because of this like technology at work, this is the final slide. So, like what happens between this integrated network structure to the disintegrated network structure? So I was just wondering whether technology actually plays any role in this disparity of this structure. So I just throw the technology, how the technology is used in the different occupations. For example, an artist uses a microphone and computer software, or the mechanics need this. And I throw them and see what happens. Remember, the blue is human skills. That is exactly the same structure that you saw in the previous slide. Now I throw the technologies, and where the technology is located, I find the technology is actually located in between two different branches. And I'm just wondering whether it's going to increase or decrease, or whether this technology enables us to go from the nested and nested, or disabled or barrier between nested and nested skill acquisition. So this is done by my first author is a graduate student, and to my co-authors, thank you very much.
I think you may have also justified the English major. Did you know? Getting an English major?
No. I wish I did.
Okay,
That was a dream.
This is a acyclic anti-symmetrical graph that's also weighted, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I guess you use some kind of a hierarchical decomposition to show the levels. I wonder how robust is this to misclassified, omitted, or wrongly collapsed categories? Because if you change one link in a hierarchical system, you might have a drastically different grouping and layout.
I think it is a valid question. So I try to test a number of different absence and presence of tests, and also I complement this the structure I see with data set I have with other data set, like in a burning glass data set, and what else but I'm still working on it. To be honest, there is no good answer. I mean, in ideal world, of course, I want to have an ideal data set that I just follow everyone and what did you learn and what year and for what occupation. That would be the ideal, but I only have a patches of data set, and also and it's not complete. So you're absolutely right. There was one.
So this picture of nestedness explains the growing gap between low-skilled job and high-skilled job. But the other trend we've seen over the past, let's say, 40 years is polarization of labors. The middle-skilled jobs are shrinking. How does that fit into this picture? Why are the middle-skilled jobs disappearing?
Yeah, that's exactly what you saw. The skill structure 20 years ago was more tightly bounded. Like the network structure looked like more like the triangle. But the 2 decades later, it becomes like this polarized. And then one thing that is still like on the way to the finding, the technology actually went into these two distinctive branches that polarized in different directions. So I'm still working on it. I just don't take it too much from me at the moment, but I find it very interesting. Good. We have? Oh, yes.
Hi, very interesting talk. You're looking at the changes that occur over time, and yet for the skills are not fixed. That is, skills decline. Those skills are no longer needed. They go out of existence. New ones come in. I didn't see that you incorporated that aspect of the evolution in your design. And maybe you can point out what I missed or indicate how you might try to include that in as you're going along here.
You're absolutely right. There are two temporal. I was just like moving so fast. There are two temporal evolution I was looking at. One is temporal evolution of your like myself, like resume, and how the skills are changing across my resume. But it is true that this particular skill may change. But the thing is, like here, okay, that's one thing. The other one, actually, looking at the temporal evolution, is how the skill structure looked like in the past 20 years ago, and now as is, and because the skills that are required for the occupation changed over time, the structure becomes more widened, and the technology comes in to fill this gap between the two different types of skill sets. Now, another question, the one that I was going to say is that the skills themselves don't change. The classification don't change. May increase or they may be demanded more and demanded less in occupation so that they are not used anymore. But classification themselves are relatively robust. Occupation, however, what occupation does under the same name changes drastically over the time. Bank teller, for example, used to be your ATM, not anymore. Or the personal assistant used to do the ABC, but not anymore, the CDE. So there are things like occupation, what occupation means and what occupation does under the same level may change. But skill themselves is relatively, the different time scale of the dynamics. And we are relatively safe, but at the same time, we are actually looking at the little bit long time, the historical data at the moment, but this historical data is still requires a manual collections. But it is actually true. But different, I just want to emphasize different time scale of dynamics, and the time scale dynamics that we are looking at is relatively like the occupation changes faster than the skill.
Brian has a question over here.
Oh, yes.
Hey, Hyejin, lots of provocative stuff in there. I'm sure when you get it all together, it's going to be very exciting. And build on what it's already like really got people's attention. I've got a question that relates to Balazs and Peter. You know, from a network analyst point of view, when they hear the word nestedness, it's really a very strong measure of the robustness of a network. So ecologists study, the structure of ecological networks, always using this idea of nestedness. And so when you started to talk about nestedness, one thing that came to my mind is you could imagine a way to introduce the impact of AI into this nested structure, because if AI starts to substitute skills that were done by humans, and if you were to take them out of the network might lose its robustness and create a lot of different disruptions. Now, predictions about that, I think, would be very exciting.
That's
so
actually
I bring
really...
it up only as a conceptual thing
No,
to think about.
this is actually a really good way of thinking. I only saw the visualization, how does the technology and the new technology come into this filling the gap between two, but I didn't actually think about the instability of the network structure due to this nestedness structure and the substitution of nested with a non-human element. That's I don't have operational the research design at the moment, but I may want to talk to you.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
I am just down the hall.
Yes. Hey.
You could also tie this back to Schumpeter's work.
What's it?
I said you could also tie it back to Schumpeter's work on the disintegration that comes by technological innovation.
Absolutely. That's great.
Okay, let's have a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.